In my mail this morning was a letter from a lady asking for help and saying that when I stop having to spend money for these particular things, I will be able to express my gratitude to you. Now, of course, she had a wrong sense of gratitude, because in her mind, money and gratitude, or paying money and gratitude, were synonymous. And as a general thing, they have no relationship to each other at all, although there are times when money can be a symbol of gratitude, but to tie them up together in that way is just wrong, because gratitude goes far beyond money. As a matter of fact, gratitude may be misunderstood, and a person may be thinking of gratitude for the wrong thing. Now let me explain that to you. If you were thinking of gratitude and money together, and you asked a practitioner for help for a headache, you might well believe that paying $1 or $2 to be freed of that headache would be expressing ample gratitude. In fact, that would be quite liberal for a simple headache. On the other hand, if the healing were of cancer, you would feel that if you took your last dollar and went into debt for some besides, that would be a very small payment, a very small token of gratitude for that healing. And in both cases, you would be wrong, but completely wrong, because gratitude in spiritual healing has no relationship at all to what was healed. For that isn't what you went to the spiritual practitioner for. Spiritual healing can only take place through the realization of God. Spiritual healing can only take place when an individual has so dedicated themselves to spiritual living as to be a transparency through which God can act, so that when the Spirit of God comes through an individual, it is the same Spirit of God that heals the headache as heals the cancer, and so the gratitude should be the same in either case. You weren't being grateful for the healing of a headache. You weren't being grateful for the healing of a cancer. At least you had no right to be. Your gratitude was for a living witness that God is available on earth today as it was 2,000 years ago. And how could we be more grateful for the presence of God in one case than in another? You see, the world at large has no access to God because they have cut themselves off from contact with God. Not that they have done it intentionally or consciously, but for the past 1,700 years, it has naturally and normally developed that people's interests should be in a different world. And so they have gradually weaned themselves away from God contact, feeling that they were doing their duty to God if they went to church on Sunday or contributed to the poor box. But you see, God and our relationship with God is deeper than that. Our relationship with God should be a constant communion with God. That was what the Master taught. That is what every mystic has known and has taught, that our lives should be lived in God. We should live and move and have our being in God. The 91st Psalm calls attention to the fact that he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High none of the evils of this world shall come nigh his dwelling place. But when they remember the 91st Psalm, they forget the first verse. That is, they who dwell, who live in God, to whom these errors of the world do not come. I'm remembering at this moment a colonel in the British Army in World War I, who, when he was assigned his regiment, lined them up and said, "This is an unusual procedure, but one which will be followed religiously. Every morning we will have the recitation of the 91st Psalm. You will commit it to memory. You will recite it on as many occasions as possible. And for your own good, I tell you, remember some passage from it morning, noon, and night, in and out of battle." And that colonel, it is recorded, brought his regiment through 4 years of war without one death. That's a miracle of an achievement. But it was made possible only by the fact of dwelling, of compelling these men, of showing them the rightness of living in that passage, in that realization of God continuously. So with us. It is in proportion that we dwell in God, live and move and have our being in God, abide in the Word. That also means live. Abide in the Word. Let the Word abide in us, live in us continuously, morning, noon, and night. In that proportion, we are told, the errors of this world will not come nigh your dwelling place. And so you see, errors have come nigh our dwelling place. We have been filled with sin, with disease, with lack, with death, with wars, with panics, with depressions. All of the evils of this world have come nigh our dwelling place because we have not maintained the life preached by the Master when he taught this dwelling in the secret place, this abiding in the Word, letting the Word abide in us so that we might be free of the discords of this world.
Por não poderdes ouvir a minha palavra, vós tendes por pai ao diabo. Ele foi homicida desde o princípio e não se firmou na verdade, porque não há verdade nele. Mas porque vos digo a verdade, não me credes. Em verdade vos digo que se alguém guardar a minha palavra, nunca verá a morte.
És tu maior do que o nosso pai Abraão, que morreu?
Abraão, vosso pai, exultou por ver o meu dia, e viu e alegrou-se.
Ah, e viste Abraão?
Em verdade vos digo, que antes que Abraão existisse, eu sou.